Hello everyone, and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Nuttyville. Yes, it's Nuttyville. So we have Bristol, who normally shows up in my videos, and now we have a little one who now realizes that her brother sits in a chair and gets treats while she wants in on the action. So here we are in the land of Nutville. Let me just wash my hands before we proceed with today's recipes. I'm actually going to do two recipes today, not because I didn't cook for the last 2 weeks for any of you, let alone myself, but because there's a few things that in the fall that I actually crave, and I'm about to go away tomorrow to a Pampered conference, and I actually want to bring some treats and things that I know that I can eat that I know are a bit healthy. So we're actually going to do two different recipes using some fall products. So this is our new muffin pan. I did talk about it this morning in my BNI group. My networking group was very excited about muffins. Here's a fun fact. Do you know the word muffin actually derives from the 1500s, and it actually means soft bread? Muffins actually used to be sold door to door in the UK, like in England. For people, because it was pre-ovens, people didn't have an oven, and muffins were soft bread. So we're gonna make some soft bread pumpkin today. These are going to be low fat. They're going to be a lower sugar. They're gonna be a bit of higher protein because I am going to be adding some flax and hemp hearts to them just as an extra bonus for protein, as well as our enrichables. So our enrichables actually go off of a sale as of tomorrow night at midnight. So enrichables are still on sale, as is taste buds, for the next day, 2 days, today and tomorrow, at 25% off. You can get a 1 month subscription, you can get a one time, and then you can get 6 months to a year, and you can cancel it at any time. And again, it's just a way to kind of get some extra veggies and goodness into some recipes and maybe some family members who normally wouldn't get it into. So I'm gonna add the super veggie into our muffins today. As well, I'm going to add some of the pea protein. Now the pea protein has zero flavor, and I'm gonna be very honest with you, zero flavor. I actually normally put it into my, I put it into my protein shakes. I also put it into just my yogurt every day. I cannot taste a difference. Now, the super veggie, I do find, because it has carrots, mushroom powder, pumpkin powder, parsnips, broccoli powder, and cauliflower, that it actually has a bit of a flavor to it. It is orange because of the pumpkin and parsnips. You can see there it's orange in the package. It has a bit of a flavor. So if you wanted to kind of hide it from your kids, if you've got littles and you're trying to get some extra veggies in, this one, you might want to put it into a recipe like a muffin where you're really not even going to taste it, and it's just going to give you some extra goodness, and that's what we're doing today. On top of that, you can see behind me I've got a squash and some apples there. I guess you can't see my blender, because I'm actually going to be throwing in a squash soup as well. So while we get the muffins ready and kind of get into the oven, I'm going to talk a little bit about squash soup. This again is one of those hearty meals, something that I can throw into the freezer. And again, because I'm gone this weekend and Dave is home alone, I'm a little worried about what he's going to eat. So I'm preparing and having some good healthy things on the side, alternatively, that he could grab quickly and easy, because he's a bit lazy when it comes to food. So we're gonna get actually started with the muffins first, and I can throw them in. So again, this is our new muffin pan. I know some of you don't have it. Some of you aren't aware that our pans are a heavy grade steel. They are non-stick. I do suggest this one be sprayed, which we're gonna spray with our sprayer. I don't like to use anything alternatively and add extra junk into my stuff. But it just is easier. I don't know if you can tell there that this is a big muffin. In fact, It's called the large muffin pan for a reason. But it is a great size for something like a chicken pot pie or a little mini meatloaf or any pie for that matter you can do with this. There are some great things that you can do with this besides muffins. You all know that, follow me along, know that I absolutely love to do alternatives. What else can I do with my pans? This pan is $35. It's not very expensive. I mean, it's not very big either. It's going to take me a couple to do those, but I am going to do a few of them in that size. So I'm going to actually start with the muffins. And again, this one is a low fat, low sugar. I am also going to make them gluten-free just because I feel better when it's that way. So I'm using oat flour. Now normally I buy my oat flour at Bulk Barn. You also can make oat flour in, again, I'm going to move my blender. We could also make oat flour in our blender. Simply put the oats right in there, put puree, and it will puree your oats, your regular oats, right to a flour base. Same with sugar. If you're needing a powdered sugar, for example, icing sugar of that sort, you would just put your granular sugar in there. Same thing, it would puree it. Our blender is incredible because it uses, it has a heat mechanism in it. It just doesn't use the power of the blender itself to heat. It actually heats and purees at the same time. And again, I'll talk a little bit about it more when we are going to be doing the soup. So I actually noticed today that Quaker has come out with an oat flour in a package. It's kind of small. Excuse me. It's about the same size as if you've ever bought one of those muffin packets that you just add watered egg to. It's similar in size, but I found it very convenient because I was low on oat flour. I didn't have the opportunity to stop at Bulk Barn today to pick it up. So it was a great little size. I just got it down at the Value Mart. So Superstore, any of those stores are going to carry it. Convenient. I love the fact that it's a little bit sweet, which means I can lower the sugar as well. But because it's gluten-free, I actually just feel better when I do it. So we're making these muffins today gluten-free. And any flour that you have at home, have at her. And if you prefer a whole wheat flour or to mix them half and half, you do you. I will post the recipe, whatever. So again, this is going to be a low-fat, low-sugar muffin. Okay, so we're going to start with adding the wet ingredients. And it asked for the eggs, and then the puree, the pumpkin, the apple, the milk. It's not apple, it's pumpkin, guys. So I'm adding the eggs and the pumpkin, the milk together in a bowl. So the eggs they asked for room temperature. I have just come home from an appointment from Whitby. I had a meeting and then I had to run out to Whitby because in my car, I've had car issues. So I got home 20 minutes ago. So if I'm a little frazzled, you'll know why. Oh my God, I don't know where my water is. Anyhow, because the eggs were supposed to be at room temperature, not gonna happen. So I just put a bowl of hot water. I put the eggs in there and it does the trick. And the reason they ask you to actually have your eggs at room temperature is that the processing of the egg when it's mixing with your baking soda and powder, it has one step to actually congeal together to start the process of working together. Now, if you do have a vegan in your life and would like to alternative do it, I would suggest then just doing the egg substitute, which would be 3 tablespoons of water to 1 tablespoon of flax, and you let it sit for, I don't know, a minute or 2, and it starts to thicken. That's the egg alternative for you. So I just, again, just put my eggs in the warm water just to get them going. So pumpkin puree. Now, normally I would have pumpkin on hand, and I think I might in the basement. Again, I just got home, folks. So I am going to use canned pumpkin, and I'm using one of my favorite tools, which is the can opener. You can see there the strength of this can opener, how incredibly strong and powerful it is, how easy it is to turn. If you do have an issue, please let me know. We've had issues with the can opener. In fact, I've had issues with mine, so I just had it replaced. Love this sucker. I love the fact that all of my tools are guaranteed for at least 1 year. Some of them up to a year, which is, or lifetime, which is my favorite. So can opener, one of those great things. Okay, so we are adding, I am going to double this recipe, so it's asking for 2 cups of pumpkin puree. I am using one of my favorite things of all time, my Measural cup. I am just going to show you quickly how great and easy it is to do. So I'm doing it to the 1 cup, just so that you can see it. I'm gonna fill the pumpkin in the measuring, okay? I'm gonna fill that right to the top and get that going. And showing the benefits of this measuring cup, because look, Mom, clean hands. The pumpkin just goes right into the bowl. I will then push it down again and I will just do another one. Now I could easily have done the full 2 cup, but I wanted you to see it. Again, I think I have pumpkin puree in my freezer because last year after Halloween, I took my pumpkins, I did skin and all, I threw them into the blender with a little bit of water, and I put it actually on the soup mode so that it would puree it completely. I did wash the pumpkin completely. There's another 1 cupper, putting that in there. I washed my pumpkin completely, but used skin and all so that the healthiness of the pumpkin was still there. And I threw it into my freezer so that this time of year, when I do want pumpkin, I've got it. So this recipe calls for the pumpkin puree, the eggs, the pumpkin spice. Now, it's asking for pumpkin spice. I'm actually going to be using something called Cinnamon Plus, and I just want to give a little bit of hint because on October the 1st, for those of you who are interested, our holiday products are coming out and they are amazing. I actually already have them. I've actually already been playing around with it. And our cinnamon and Cinnamon Plus, hint, hint, might be part of that. And for those of you who are lovers of our Cinnamon Plus, as I am, I tend to hoard it this time of year so that it does last me the entire season. I don't know if you guys can see there. Mine is to right there, that's all I have left. So let me tell you, I was so excited when my earning came last week and I got it. I am going to be adding 2 teaspoons of this cinnamon blend. I'm actually going to be adding 4 teaspoons because I am doubling this recipe because of the pan being so big, and like I said, I'm going away. Here's my teaspoon. And I'm actually going to be adding 4 teaspoons, which again, I am so excited that this is back because we're getting to the end, folks. There we go. Excellent. It smells already like the fall. So delicious. Okay, so I'm adding that to the bowl, the eggs, the pumpkin puree, the milk, the baking soda, and salt is in there. That was a teaspoon of each. A little bit of vanilla, and then the milk. It's asking for, again, now, it's asking for 1/4 cup of milk. I am actually going to be using almond milk. It says in the recipe you can use any milk alternative. So again, if you do have any vegans on hand or lactose intolerant, that is not an issue, never has been in my house. I have always, oh my God, here's my water. I have always made that exception. Okay, so for the milk, I am adding 1/4 cup, so therefore I need 1/2 cup of milk. And I am using, like I said, almond milk. I'm not using this one. Oh, I love life, folks. Can you guys see this? See that thing in the middle of my, I don't think it's supposed to be there. All right, let me open a new one. I've been gone. I was in Nova Scotia for 2 weeks. I didn't even think to check my milk. Whew. It's a good thing I checked before I put that into my muffins. That was a little extra added protein that I didn't need. So I'm gonna add, again, a half of a cup of milk that's not expired. How about that? And again, that's almond milk. You can use any milk alternative that you want. This is a really easy recipe that, again, you probably have all of these ingredients in the house. Now again, you might not have our cinnamon plus. I will post that you can add ginger, you can add cinnamon, you can add nutmeg and make your own, that's fine. But for those of you who, I know there's a few of you on here that absolutely love our seasonings, I am so excited because October the 1st is, I cannot believe it, Friday. Mind-blowing. But more importantly than that, we are just about coming into quickly the baking season, which, okay, those of you who are like me, baking season really doesn't stop because we absolutely love to bake. But for those who actually love the fall baking, and as we're getting into our Christmas season, our Christmas baking, there are some great things coming October 1st. Cutesy little stuff for stocking stuffers as well, and some really neat gift alternatives that I'm excited to share with you guys in the next couple days. So there's our pumpkin puree, our milk, the 4 eggs that are room temperature, baking soda, some salt, and the pumpkin seasoning, okay? So we've got that, we've got the wet ingredients. We're now gonna add all the dry ingredients. So I'm gonna put all the dry ingredients together. I'm gonna put it into one of our new bowls. So this is our stainless steel one here. But this is our new plastic bowl, and what I love about it too is it's got the non-slip grip. Okay, so again, since I'm doubling this recipe, I am going to add 3 cups of flour. So this is 2 cups here. And I am using all oat flour, okay? I am, like I said, using mine, keeping mine gluten-free, that's what I'm doing because it makes me feel better. I am going to add some flax and hemp hearts. So this scoop here is about 1/4 cup. So I'm going to add 1/4 cup of flax, and I'm adding 1/4 cup of hemp hearts because I like the added bonus of protein, like I said. That's actually one of my favorite things to do. I don't feel as guilty when I'm eating one of these muffins, and to me it's like alternatively like a, I forgot to add the vanilla, sorry guys. It's alternatively like a protein muffin versus just a sweet muffin. And again, because I'm keeping it lower in fat and lower in sugar, it's kind of a bonus thing to me. So I am going to also add a generous scoop of pea protein, okay? I'm just gonna fill what would have been the scoop, okay? And I am going to add, like I said, I'm going to add the super veggie. Now again, I know a lot of you don't have this at home, that's fine too. I'm doing it because, A, I can, B, the fact that I'm gonna get the extra goodness in here. So I've got that little bit of sweetness in here, but I'm adding all that extra goodness and protein to it. So I'm just gonna give that a fast stir. It will turn my muffins orange, but guess what? They're already orange with the pumpkin. So to me, it's just a little bit of extra goodness in there. So we've got that dry ingredient. I am going to add a cup of brown sugar. Now, recipes often call for a cup of white sugar, or this recipe called for 1.5 cups of white sugar. I am substituting and only using 1 cup of brown sugar, and then I'm going to do a touch of honey, okay? What I actually do normally is cut the amount of white sugar and adding brown sugar because I do find that the brown sugar gives it more of a sweetness and I can actually use less of it. So for those of you who are just popping on, I am making a pumpkin oatmeal muffin today, and I'm adding the oats to it and flax and hemp hearts to make this a healthy-ish muffin, okay? I do have a cheeky puppy who is going up on the counter, so if I look a little distracted, I'm trying to make sure she's not going where she's not supposed to. So I added the vanilla and the brown sugar also to our wet ingredients. Hi, little face. Hi, little face. And I am going to add about a quarter of a cup of honey. Yeah, there's Cheeky Cheeks. Keep in mind, she's 18 weeks today. Did you all notice how tall she is, that she's at the edge of my counter? Yeah, and her brother's teaching her some great things like how to beg, and thankfully, he hasn't quite showed her how to counter surf. So again, I'm just adding about a quarter of a cup of honey, and I will stir that up as well. And then we are kneading the oatmeal, and I'm going to use 1/3 of a cup times 2 for the oats that I'm going to just, oops, wrong side. The oats that I'm just going to add to the dry ingredients as well. To me, I can never have too many oats. It's again one of those great alternatives for a protein. So you got a nice good kick of protein in here. It's got the flax, the hemp hearts as well. And I need some oil. So it's asking for 3/4 of a cup of extra virgin olive oil, and I'm actually going to use butter. I find that the butter to me is a better alternative for this recipe. It is healthy still as well as an extra virgin, and you're not using that much. So I'm using 2/3 total, so not a whole heck of a lot. I am going to melt it. I'm using my measure all cup. Do you like pumpkin? Yeah, do you like pumpkin? You probably do. So I'm using 2/3 of a cup. Again, I'm just measuring that, putting it into my silicone bowls, and I'm just going to put that to room temperature right now and microwave it for a tiny minute and add that in there. So that's it for the ingredients, guys. It's pretty simple. It's pretty basic. Like I said, pretty much probably everything you have in your own house, with the exception of the pea protein and the super veggie. But as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, they are on sale till tomorrow, 25% off. It's an amazing opportunity to try them out. If you like them, you can continue on. You can buy it once, you can buy it monthly, you can do a 3 months, 6 months, and a year subscription. And like I said, if you don't like it, cancel it. Not a big deal. But it's a great way to actually get to try them out. So I'm adding the dry to the wet. To me, this smells like fall. It smells so good. Again, really simple recipe. Just realized I forgot to wait for the butter. So we're gonna add the butter now. Pretend the butter was with the wet ingredients, okay? Yeah, don't pull an Aimee. Like I said, I was not supposed to be in Whitby at this appointment for so long with my stupid car, but here we are. Okay. So this has 1 cup of brown sugar, and it has 1/4 of a cup of honey. As far as sweetness goes, that's pretty low. And it has 2/3 of a cup of butter. And again, as a low-fat muffin, pretty good. This would be a really nice recipe as well, that you can add chunks of apple to it, giving it a different twist. And if I had some, which I will in the next 2 weeks be making my own applesauce, I would have actually even omitted the butter and just done applesauce, but I can't be perfect all the time. I actually did have some applesauce in the house, I'm just realizing. Anyhow, here we are. So I am going to add this to the pan. I want to show you how great the, now this is the older version of our spray. I'm just pumping it to get the pressure in. Okay. And now I just spray the pans. There are no chemicals used. This one is almost empty. I should have filled it. This oil is canola. You can use all and any oil. Coconut. You can use extra virgin. Extra virgin just doesn't spray as easily because it's a heavier oil. The lighter oils like the sunflower and the canola are going to spray out easier, but there is absolutely no chemicals that I have used and sprayed into this, and that to me is the most important. Trying to keep the healthiness into my body, trying to get the chemicals out of my house. That's what I'm trying to do. So I'm just going to quickly show you here and then toss these into the oven. So there's the muffins. And I made some granola before I left so that I had some on our trip. I'm actually just going to sprinkle some of the homemade granola onto the top. Sorry, I have a cheeky puppy. I'm just going to sprinkle the granola onto the top of the muffins and just give it that kind of little kick and wow, and toss those into the oven. Okay, so while we're doing that, okay, I'm going to put those in for 18 minutes. Okay. While we're doing that, I just quickly want to go over one of my ultimate favorite recipes of all time. And again, I've talked about my blender more than once, and my joke is always, not all power tools live in the garage. In fact, the tools in my kitchen are used far more than the tools in my garage. So I am going to show you why I love my blender so much. So I'm actually going to do this recipe. It'll take all of 5 minutes to prep it. Because it is such a fast recipe to prep and do, I do as much as I can in my blender because I don't really have to do anything. So I've added 2.5 cups of water. Now it calls for 2 medium carrots peeled and chopped. I didn't have any. I had some organic baby carrots that again I had taken on my holiday so that I had some veggies in the car. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just throwing in what I've got, which is some baby carrots, some organic baby carrots. But I'm actually going to cut the squash, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to cut the squash when you have the right tools. So I'm just using my flexible cutting mat. I'm actually just going to strip down the peeling of my squash, and then I'm going to throw all my ingredients in my blender, and then I'm going to hit go. Now, if you don't have this blender and you've always wanted this blender or our air fryer, the best and most economical way to do it is to host a party. And the reason I say that is, listen, I could sell you these at full price, $300+, but I don't feel right in doing that when I know I can help you host a party and get these suckers really cheaply, between 50 and 60% off, and be able to still get all that you want and help your customers as well. So I'm just chunking up my squash. You saw how fast that was. And the reason it was so fast is that I'm using one of my most favorite knives of all time. And those of you who watch me often know that I talk about the Santoku knife. Now, If you do have the Vitamix blender, yours is a little different than ours because your Vitamix blenders uses the power of the actual blade to heat. Again, ours we actually have a heating mechanism in ours. And the sucker cleans itself. We actually have a self-cleaning wash button on there. It's my favorite thing of all time because I don't have time, and why should I have to if the machine's going to do it itself? So I am loving the fact that it does it all for itself, but if you have alternatively another blender, that's okay too. But I'm going to share the recipe. And if you've got another blender, you can easily do this recipe in your blender as well. And if you don't have the blender, then you might have to pre-cook your squash in the oven or the microwave, however you cook your squash, and then blend it yourself, and that's okay too. But if this was one of those tools that you've always wanted, please hit me up and I will totally help you, or somebody you know that has always wanted one, and with the holidays coming, maybe it's for Christmas they're wanting it, I can totally help you get these amazing fall products, or fall recipes, done very easily and quickly when you've got the right tools. So because this Santoku knife is very sharp, I am able to get through the squash quite easily. When the pieces are this small and this funky, I just used something like my coated utility knife, which in the month of October, as a guest, you would get this free, this amazing knife when you spend $100. Awesome, because this is one of those little knives that I use all the time. These two make great stocking stuffers, but if you do give a knife for a gift, you know you have to give money with it, right? You have to put a coin on it. That's the old wives' tale. I am using almost the whole squash. The first time I did this recipe, I overstuffed it though, so I don't want to do that. So I'm actually just going to use this last little bit of squash, and then I can cut up the rest and throw it into the freezer for the next time. It actually asks for an apple. I do use the skin, the entire skin of my apple. I normally don't peel it. It asks for, in this recipe, and I'm going to post it, it's a Pampered Chef recipe, it asks for a dried out apple, like a dried apple. I suggested Granny Smith apple. Anything sweet and tart kind of hits you there. And I mean, guys, we're going into apple season, so we're all loving the fact that we're going to be able to get our apples, you know, from the farm, or we're going picking or whatever, and I can core my apple in like half a second with my apple corer. So again, now I just have to slice this bad boy and toss it in. Just realized that while I wasn't paying attention, I didn't get the whole, I love lives. There we go. All right, so I'm just gonna chunk that apple, and I'm just gonna put all the pieces into the blender. So again, prep time for this recipe is 5 minutes. All of it is just thrown into the blender. I am adding 2 cloves of garlic, and then I'm adding 2 teaspoons, again, of our cinnamon plus. This recipe calls for ginger, cinnamon, and nutmeg, so I have always just added the cinnamon plus to it. I find it just gives it that beautiful fall flavor when it comes to a squash soup. Squash and soup to me they scream fall. And I love the fact that the ease of this and that the cinnamon plus checks all the boxes for me. I'm just squeezing a couple cloves of garlic. It also calls for some salt, and what I have found is a teaspoon of garlic salt gives it, again, that extra kick. So that's what I have done. I will, like I said, post the recipe. Oh, goodness. I will post the recipe. Oh. My garlic is not cooperating today. It's a tough clove. Oh, goodness. Let's try another clove. Oh, there we go. Let's try some other cloves of garlic. There we go. I will post the recipe. Like I said, it is a Pampered Chef recipe. I have added, like I said, I like garlic salt instead of just the regular salt, and 2 cloves of garlic, and instead of the just the cinnamon and ginger, I added the cinnamon plus. I find it gives it that extra flavor, and the garlic salt, I'm just going to add a teaspoon of that, and then that's it. So I just wanted to show you, I've got the carrots, the squash, the apple, the garlic, and it's all ready to go in 2.5 cups of water. I'm going to put my lid on that, and I'm going to turn it to the soup. We actually have a soup button, and that's it. So in 9 minutes, my muffins will be done. In 35 minutes, my soup will be done. And dinner and the snack will be done. I'm going to post these recipes to you today. Fall is on its way. Fall is actually officially here. But with the weather, I think some of us are in denial. But I will be continuing for the next month, posting some fall recipes, some of those hearty recipes, some of those things that kind of stick to our bones and keep us warm and healthy. Yes. So Ange is asking, I had the Vitamix blender, great tool, but the pacing blender is better. Thank you, Ange. I have to agree. I tend not to bash other people's products, but I do find because of the fact that ours heats, so right now, I don't know if you can see, it's blending it, but right now it's starting to warm up the water. So as it's blending, it's heating it, it's doing all at the same time. Guys, if you don't have this blender and it's one of those things you wanted, or you wanted an air fryer and you don't have it yet, please hit me up and let me help you get it. It is honestly, I will help you get it at a cheaper price. I'll totally sell it to you at the full price, but I'm here to help you get it at a better price. So I'm going to post the recipes for the muffins, I'm going to post the recipes for the soup, and I hope you have a delicious Wednesday. This is the kind of weather that I love to have these hearty things at. So happy kickoff to fall, everybody, and happy Wednesday.